Hey there, studio owners and future studio owners. Welcome back to another episode of Yoga Biz Champ. I'm your host, Michael J., and as always, I'm here to help you navigate the ins and outs of running a successful yoga studio without the stress and the guesswork. So if you're looking for actionable tips, relatable stories, and plenty of upbeat energy, you are in the right place today. And today's guest is someone I'm really excited to share with you. She's a powerhouse studio owner. She's a client of mine, and she's taken a fresh approach to blending yoga, strength training, and down-to-earth good community vibes. And we're talking about none other than Samantha Harrison, owner of Yoga Strong in Greenville, North Carolina. And Samantha's story is all about carving out a unique niche, connecting with her ideal audience, and building a thriving yoga business that truly supports her students' needs, especially those who thought weightlifting and yoga couldn't go hand in hand. In our chat today, we dive into Samantha's journey from teaching out of a small back room to opening a bright, beautiful studio space. We talk about discovering your dream demographic, creating a supportive team culture, and staying authentic in your marketing, no matter how intimidating it might be. And Samantha is proof that if you stay true to your vision and rock your reels, and you're still willing to learn, that you can build a studio that really stands out in your community. Now let's get right into my conversation with Samantha from Yoga Strong. Welcome to another episode of Yoga Biz Champ, and I have one of my favorite people joining today. She's actually a client of mine, but I'm also a big fan of hers, and that is Samantha Harrison from Yoga Strong in Greenville, North Carolina. Welcome, Samantha.
Thanks so much for having me. It's exciting to be here.
I am so excited to have you here because you've gone through some big changes. You've created an amazing foundation to your studio. And then in the last few months, we've worked together and you've made some big transformations for your studio and some big changes. And I'm not even going to read your bio because what you sent me wasn't worth reading out. So
thank you. There it is. Appreciate the honesty.
I got 2 lines from hers. So I'm going to get you to tell me. I kind of want to know, because I actually don't really know this. So I'd love to kind of know just concisely, what was the initial spark, first of all, with yoga? I'm always curious about what that initial spark was, where I got to get me some more of that was. And then kind of just the journey to becoming a studio owner. Can you kind of go through that process?
Yeah, sure. So I took my first yoga class when I was in high school. I would go to the gym. My mom would take me to the gym, and I was supposed to be there to work out because I wasn't a very active kid. And I was on the treadmill really hating my life when I saw people coming out of a dark room with carrying yoga mats, and I was really curious, and I poked my head and kind of got the schedule and then started asking my mom to drop me off when it was time for yoga, but I didn't tell her I was going to yoga. And I don't know, I fell in love with it was dark. I was the youngest person in there, didn't feel I felt good at something physical for one of the first times in my life. And I didn't feel judged. I didn't feel like I said, I was not a sports person. And I just felt like I was able to actually kind of make friends with my body in that practice. It was really special for me. And I just continued to go. And then in college, I actually kind of changed and I actually found that I really loved movement and exercise. And I kept going to yoga, But I was a pre-med student in college, and I would always leave during Shavasana. I was the worst yoga student because I was like, how can anybody lay here? I have so much to do. And I can't just lay here. I have to go. And it wasn't until a teacher like brought around an essential oil and like a cold towel that I actually stayed the time. And then I was like, oh my gosh, what have I been missing? This is like the best. So I dabbled in and out of yoga and then other fitness things all throughout college, and obviously changed my route, my path of pre-med only when I was a senior in college. Decided I did not want to do that. Started shadowing physical therapists, thought I wanted to do that. Then was working at Starbucks while trying to figure it out. And I was talking about yoga to everyone. And I got my first clients through the drive-through of Starbucks, essentially. And I just started teaching right away from my teacher training that I did. And one thing led to another. And I just kept thinking I was going to have to go back to school, kept telling my mom if I can't.
Are you doing privates or group?
I was doing privates. I was doing corporate classes, a lot of corporate and a lot of privates. And then I was teaching at our one and only yoga studio that we had in town.
Okay.
And I taught there like right out of my yoga teacher training for about 2 years until I ventured out on my own and opened my own little small space, not a big yoga studio like I have now, but a small room.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Where I did have small group classes and private clients in there. Yeah.
So how did you transition from there to where you are now, which is in a mall? You've got amazing windows. You've got space.
I was really forced out. Because I was in the back. I had a little room in the back of what used to be a juice shop, and it was so inexpensive. The rent was amazing. I was never going to leave. And then they changed. They left, that business closed and a CBD store opened. And the CBD store, the yoga studio started smelling like a college dorm room, kind of permanently. And then,
a certain type of audience, maybe a niche.
Right. Yeah, that wasn't our niche though. And anyway, and so then they finally were like, we actually want to use this space for storage, so you have 1 month to find somewhere. And I was teaching some small group classes then. It was just me as a teacher, not anyone else, but my classes were full, like my 10 people that I could hold in the room. So I started looking around and was sticker shocked by the rents and was really scared. But I just took a leap in this space that I'm in. And it was like we had to do a lot of work on it. But I actually had a lot of students that helped me with the project as well. It was really sweet. They all, like many of them helped me move from the old place to the new place. And I just took a leap and was like, let's do this. This is a good next step, but it was a scary next step because it was just me in the other place. And now it's obviously more than just me.
Yeah. Can we talk about Yoga Strong?
Yeah.
Right. Can we talk about that a little bit? Because, I mean, what we haven't mentioned is you're actually a badass in the gym, CrossFit. I see you deadlifting and like all of this stuff, but you're Yoga Strong. It's not just regular yoga classes.
Right.
Like can you tell me a little bit? Really, where I'm leading here is niche, but I'm also curious, like personally, the strong part. And also when we come to niche, I want to go back to something you said earlier, which was your first yoga class where you were the youngest person there, and how that might relate to your studio now.
Right. That's funny. Yeah. So Yoga Strong. So I'm also a CrossFit coach, and have been dabbling in and out of CrossFit for about the length of time that I've been a yoga teacher, about 10 years. And I just started to really realize once I kind of accepted that yoga wasn't the only type of practice that I needed to feel good and strong in my body, that I also needed strength work. I wanted to try to meld the two because I wanted to be as efficient kind of as possible. And then also I saw that my clientele, my clients that were coming to classes, they were not going to go to the gym. They were not going to go and lift weights. Like, the gym was not their environment. They didn't want to be there. And I knew that those ladies needed to do some strength training. And I thought that if I started with private clients, kind of gently introducing them to some strength training while we in conjunction with our yoga practice. So we might do 15 deadlifts and then sun salutations. And then we might do 15 deadlifts and then sun salutations and 10 push-ups. And, we kind of wove it in. And then more students started knowing that I was kind of doing this. And then I started a group class offering that. And then that's really what Yoga Strong is. So Yoga Strong is our signature style of class where we blend together the strength training world using dumbbells and yoga. So we mix in strengthening movements, like I said, deadlifts or goblet squats or rowing or push-ups.
So you have equipment in the studio?
Yeah. We have a bunch of dumbbells and resistance bands and everything. We don't have barbells, but it's all dumbbells. But I mean, we have up to 50-pound dumbbells. So it's not just 2-pound weights. Yeah. They're not just doing a sculpt class.
Yeah. And niche-wise, you have a certain demographic that you've attracted and that you work well with, and that, shall we say, will also pay. You're not the cheapest one around. You also have a lot of other studios and competition as far as fitness and yoga going on around you. But you're very... I'm super curious. I sort of know, but I'm super curious. You are hyper-focused on a niche.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it came from me trying out a bunch of different things and seeing what fit with the audience. But essentially, I have now discovered and figured out my ideal person, or really who I can help the most, is women that are between 40 and let's say 70, or 40, 65 and up range. Generally more professionals or about to go into retirement or retired women who need to, again, they're working on their flexibility. They need to work on their balance. And then also they need to work on strength and mobility aspect. And they're starting to realize, many of them, that maybe now they're getting diagnoses of osteopenia or things like that, or their doctors are telling them they need to lift weights or do some strength training. And they don't really want to go to the gym. It's not their environment. It feels overwhelming and intimidating. So bringing it into the yoga classes, and now they can come here and get Yoga Strong with the weights, but then we also have vinyasa yoga and yoga massage for mobility and self-massage stuff. So they can really do everything here. And that's my kind of target audience, and they're stable. They're here. They're not moving all over the place. They have a stable job or stable retirement and income, and so they can also, afford to pay for the services, unlike, say, college students who might want to do a lot of yoga, but maybe a certain boutique type studio they wouldn't be able to.
Can you share a little bit about an email that you just shared with me?
That was really funny.
And it was, it was such a cute, she was super valid in her email, right? I can tell you a little bit about it, but you were just like, but I'd love to,
Yes, so I got an email from a student who is definitely outside of our target audience, because of course, even though we have a set demographic, I'm not going to say, no, you can't come and be a member, you can't come to the studio. But I just don't always listen or take super heavily the feedback that I get from people that are outside of my demographic. So the email was...
Listen to that, folks.
Yeah, if you know your market and who you're meant to serve, if other people that are outside of that are giving you input and telling you what to do, if they're not your people, then like you just need to let it be nice and be kind and understanding. But I think don't change what you're doing just because of that. They need to kind of not go away necessarily, but
she basically in the email, she basically was saying that you catered to the rest of the class's needs. Yes,
the older clientele. She said that she felt like it was humbling because she was the youngest in the class and used to going to places where more students looked like her, were more younger, athletic, and she was not used to kind of the older demographic, and she felt like she wasn't being challenged all the time, or that I was changing the classes a little bit to cater to that older audience. And I said, that's right. I said, that is what I do. I said, I saw a need for that because so many places that I would go to did have people that were fit and young and doing these really strong vinyasa practices, and the older people that really need the mobility and need the strength.
So how did you become the person of relatability for that audience that attracted them?
Yeah, I mean, I know, because I'm not like in that demographic myself. I think I just I've worked with so many people, especially one-on-one, that I've just heard from them. Like I hear what their problems are, I hear what their stories are, and I get it. And I've found some way of like teaching to them that resonates. And I don't know how I ended up necessarily being able to really resonate. But I also in the early days would share a lot of like video testimonials from students that look more like my audience than I do. And I think that was helpful. I should probably go back to doing some more of that. But I just started to I had to realize that the practice, and I think as yoga teachers, it's a process of like making our practice, our teaching practice, making sure that it's for our students. It's not for us. Like early in my teaching days, it was just what I wanted to do. What did I want to teach in class? Like what would be fun for me? And now it's very much like that's not what it's about. It might be fun for me in ways, but it's not what my body necessarily needs. It's not how I'm teaching. I'm teaching for the people in front of me and for the people that I'm meant to help.
I hope people really listen to that and really knowing who your audience is. I think that there's so much general yoga out there now, but I am seeing successes in those areas where people really know who they're serving. For example, on my podcast, Newburgh Yoga Shala, Ashtanga Yoga. That's who she is, and that's a studio. It's not all the Ashtanga there, but it's based around the principles of that. And so I love that, and thank you for sharing. And I think that's really important to hear, because that's a perfect segment into the next step. Is because you know your audience, you are super defined. You know how to talk to them on social media and in your marketing. And I'm going to do a shout out. Samantha, when I say Samantha's my kind of hero, I share Samantha with all of my studios. I'm like, just go watch Samantha. Don't get intimidated by her because she's so good at it.
Oh my goodness.
But I share your Instagram, Yoga Strong NC. But I share it because you know who your audience is and you speak to them. So, so it's very easy when you know who you're talking to. The other thing I will say, and this is something I try to bring out in studio owners, is triple downing on your superpowers. And you're naturally inquisitive with marketing. We follow some of the same geeky stuff that studio owners wouldn't probably ever know, right? But you and I can geek out on some of these things. But it's an area that you just kind of thrive in and enjoy and are interested in. You also don't really want to pay people to do it. You want to learn how to do it yourself. And so I talk about this a lot on the podcast, but you definitely, and I'd like to actually do a separate podcast with this on you, but just love to touch on that confidence of speaking to your audience and showing up. That's, you now go on your walks and share, hey, class is canceled day today because of snow. And you just very easily don't overthink about what you look like, or even though you always look cute, but you literally do it and throw it up and but then you also have reels that you produce and enjoy with the music and the all the hits and the 3-second intro and like all the things in marketing, right? So can you just talk a little bit about
I mean, it just has taken a long time, it's taken being like, you could scroll way back to like 2015 or 2014 on my Instagram. And it was, it was just classic standard, like yoga is happening this day, like
Wednesday yin course at 6 p.m.
Yeah, like something so boring. And I've done a few different social media challenges in my time, of course, and one of them being this challenge was about random talking videos, and it was like a 30-day challenge of doing. This was before I feel like this was very common and popular, but it was really just like the holding the camera and talking at the video.
Yeah.
And it was 30 days of doing that, and it was like you tried to post like the first one that you did, which was so cringe and horrible and terrifying. But that challenge was honestly one of the things that just made me finally, because toward the end or even halfway through, I was like, whatever, it's okay. Like, whatever your fears are about, oh, people are going to be judging or saying this, but people would like comment, and like it just was so real to people that they weren't even like, they weren't criticizing how many times I said or like or rambled. They just they connected to it in some way. And so I got reinforced that showing up and just being authentic and just not trying to be, sometimes I'm polished, sometimes there's edits, like you said, in the But I think to get to some of that, you first have to just let go of like all of the editing and like be comfortable with just talking. And then the more you do it, it just gets, you don't say as much, don't say like as much, you get better, right?
Well, there's also software out there to strip out ums.
Right, yeah. I didn't have that when I was doing that. But you could look up, like that's a hashtag, random talking videos. And you could look that up, and there's like all of these people just sharing their talking videos. And it was a little thing in social media for a little while. But it would be a good project for people to get used to.
Well, what I try to do with my studio owners, because I come across this a lot with my studio owners, especially when they're solo studio owners like yourself, and you're the face, right? And it's not like you're a big glossy franchise and behind the logo. And so I tell my studio owners, take the video. It doesn't have to be put up. Just keep taking. Just keep recording. Go in the studio. Just practice. Just record. You don't have to throw it up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then the reality is, after a swipe, it's gone.
It history. Is. That's right. It's gone.
Nobody's
and there's
remembering
only so many views that are going to get, and people are probably only going to watch the first 4 or 5 seconds anyway, if it's not having their attention. So whatever, it's just getting the reps in, it's getting the practice. And I also see the social media, the videos as just like, I want people to come to class, obviously. And if I was going to host a party, you've probably heard this metaphor with marketing is like hosting a party. If I was going to host a party and plan the party and take all the time to organize the food and then forget to send the invites, I would be like, what the heck? I'm here. I've got all the food. I've got the music. I've got everything. And no one's here. And it's because I forgot to let people know. I forgot to tell people to come to my party. And marketing and social media and videos is just showing them and inviting them to come to my party, and also giving them a sneak peek of the party. What's it going to be like? What am I going to learn? What am I going to experience? What's the vibe? Is just showing them what they're going to get at the party.
The vibe, right? Like, I think that is what's key right now, is the vibe behind the scenes, the vibe. Because I always say someone nervous about coming to yoga may have followed you for a year, and then there may be that one post that you show a class, and somebody might be the age or size, and you may have said something that clicks with them, and then they go, yeah, that's the place where I fit. I'm going to try them out. Right.
Yes.
And also in there, I think the important thing not to forget is in marketing, which you do really well, there's also a call to action. You can't forget that.
Right. Yes. Yeah, of course. Tell them when the party is and where and like how to get to the party, how to RSVP.
Click the link, send me a message.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah. Can you define how you use posts and stories differently?
Mm-hmm. So stories definitely are for more behind the scenes or more talking, like you said, like when I'm on my walks or something.
Disposable content, would you call it?
Yeah, that's a good way of thinking about it. Yeah, disposable. And then the stuff that goes onto the feed is more polished generally, but not too much so always. Like I kind of go back and forth between some things being pretty polished and then some things on there still being, maybe they're still polished, but they're funny or they're relatable or they still show the vibe of us, which is we're not too serious like yoga people. I mean, we're serious yoga people, but we laugh and we have fun, and I want that to come across or not intimidating.
But when you're doing it, you have fun, right?
Yes, I absolutely have fun. Yeah, I have a lot of fun. And some people are more like scheduled or know exactly what they're going to post. And I've never succeeded in doing that. I kind of just go off of what's happened in class that day, maybe, or that week that's been coming up, or something funny that happened. And I create a reel or create a post around that. Like I think what I'm going to create actually after we're done is about, like I was joking, this happens all the time. Everyone gets their right and lefts confused, all day long. And I'm just going to do a reel that's like me going back and forth between like me as the teacher and the yoga student being all confused about left and rights. And,
I always thought I would do one about never ask a yoga teacher for driving instructions. Driving directions, right? It's like left, right. Especially if you teach in mirror.
Right, when you're mirroring, oh my gosh, it's a nightmare. So, but
especially
just
when
making
you're tired,
something lighthearted and funny. I have fun with that. I don't want to do things that are not fun. So, yeah, it's fun.
So you've gone through a transformation. So you've created your studio. So just to give context, your studio was pretty much registered only series at a pretty decent price. People were paying for a solution here. And so you've been running along creating your business, that model. And then, so we've been coaching together for a little while. And I want to go through some of the things that we've gone through and the thought process behind some of those things. And first thing, I'm kind of curious, why hire a coach? What was
Well, the draw to you was that I wanted someone that had been a studio owner, that has done this, has, experienced, again, what it's like to not only run a studio and be a business person, but also be a yoga person. And also you've sold your yoga studio, which not that I'm trying to sell, right now, but I want to create an asset, if you will, that would eventually maybe be sellable. And I know that from experience of hiring coaches, I can either spend a lot of time figuring it out on my own or hire a mentor and like expedite the process of figuring things out. So a lot of things that you shared on the Offering Tree coaching call that I just went to literally one and did some digging and listening to your podcast. And I was like, yes, I don't know, I felt a good vibe, and I felt like I would learn from you. And so you've really helped me in getting organized and having all of the all the stuff that's not my superpower. Getting all of those things organized and systems we're working on. We can go into the details.
I mean, thank you, first of all, for those kind words. But it's honestly a pleasure working with you. And I'll tell you why. It's because you love your business and you get stuff done. Like you actually put the work in and you enjoy putting the work in. And so the needle gets moved forward so quickly. And so I just want to talk about a few things that we kind of the process that we've transferred from, so starting in January, so 1 month in, from a register only to a mix of drop-in classes and not losing the register only, which I love. That's my kind of favorite formula. Yeah. And so that's been there's lots of stages in that's gone through that. One of the first things I have to joke about is your windows. What was the first thing we did? First week.
Yes, we put big decals on the windows.
Big ass letters.
Yoga strong, yoga strong. Yeah. And it has made, people have definitely remarked on it. And someone actually told one of our existing students, she said her neighbor was like, have you seen the new yoga studio? And, we've been here for a year, but they just saw the sign or whatever. So, so that was a big thing.
Samantha's got these massive windows, just huge windows. And I'm like, all I want to see on there is the word yoga. And then hilarious, the next thing I see is a reel online. And not only does it say yoga, it's got yoga all over the windows. It's you are screaming, we are a yoga studio. So
yeah. Yep. I did it pretty quickly.
So one of the, so we've kind of changed that mix. So there was a process in that, right? So we had to come up with a new pricing model that kind of counted in the mix. And then we had to create a schedule and kind of create a team around that. But we also transitioned existing members that were used to being a certain way into a new way. Can you talk about kind of that transition?
Yeah, it's been a big transition. I was nervous about it, honestly, because I just know that change is hard for students. And I was nervous about if they would be receptive, but we, I think, did it in a really thoughtful, gradual way where we started with, having all of those series classes and then giving enough lead up time to get people a chance to transition to the membership and give them a good deal. And then also tell them what's to come for the new schedule that we launched out. And this year we added 8 more classes a week to the schedule. So we showed them the value in converting to the membership and switching over. And then the team, you helped me with the onboarding process of getting all of the team.
Let's stay there a little bit. So we created a new onboarding document, which is part of the Grow package. And so it's kind of onboarding new team members, but re-onboarding the old.
Yeah, we had to do that. Can
you talk about that process of kind of setting the structure up of that document and how important that was to really putting you in place as a new team lead? It was a kind of a new position, right? In a weird way, you've been owner of the studio, but was a new transition.
Yeah, leadership is definitely probably not my strong suit, and it's something that I'm not really familiar with or haven't had that much experience in doing. So I was nervous about stepping into saying well, this is my studio and this is how I want things done, and then how to communicate that clearly to the teachers. And so that onboarding document really helped me to get everything out of my brain that I needed and organize it, because it was all in there, but it was just
expectations.
So really laying it out and then having it all laid out, it was much easier to then communicate that and kind of meet with each teacher individually at first about the expectations and about, our vision as a yoga studio, kind of getting them all on board with our vision. And then having that group meeting was really helpful to just get everyone collectively together.
So for folks listening or watching, the process was we created this onboarding document that kind of has all the expectations around the instructors and and perks and all the things. And then Samantha met individually and had conversations with each one, that's an important process of it, right? Finding out what their superpowers are and what they wanted more at the studio and the opportunities, and but also having that conversation together. Are we in agreement that this is the mission, vision, values, and expectations of the studio up front? Yeah. From there, we go to me coming in and on Zoom and on a Saturday. I can't remember if we did a Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah, we did a Saturday.
And we do a whole training on the kind of pre-class experience. It's about the client experience, the pre-class experience, the in-class experience, the post-class experience, knowing pricing and the whys and all of that stuff. And it was really successful. I felt it was a really nice kind of beginning to creating a team bond, but also then putting you in place of let's go.
Yeah. And now, honestly, we've had a lot less like issues or friction or things pop up that I have to feel like I address, because we laid it so much out in that document and covered things. And then when I got to meet with each teacher individually, I could hear like where they were maybe confused or uncertain or unsure. Like I was able to, provide clarity for them, so that we really haven't had like the issues that I was kind of having before, where the expectations weren't as clear. I thought they were, of course, but they weren't. They really weren't. They weren't laid out in that, presented in a clear way.
And what a great team that you've got. And so we've gone through it. We've gone through, onboarding, schedule, and you converted so many members into the new model. Can you talk about that a little bit? You kind of grandfathered a little bit of a deal in, but it was a very strategic approach to communicating with your existing members of the new way and the opportunity to get in on it.
Right. Yeah. And I think, January, deciding to wait till the new year as like the new time, I think was also a really great idea, because it was like, it gave them plenty of opportunity of like, you can get grandfathered in at this rate in the new year. It's going to change to this pricing. And we had kind of a plan of like how we were going to get people into the membership and showing them value. Like you helped me create those images that were like, do the math, kind of thing of like, how often are you coming and what does it work out to? And so it makes more sense if you do the membership, that kind of thing. And so that really worked out well. And we did a lot of emails, and then I was, individually talking to people, and it was a big push for getting people into the membership. But it was good.
Can you share with the other studio owners of, now that you're in this new role and what have you, of how you're keeping that going? Like, how do you communicate with them? How are you keeping that team?
The team of teachers, or you're talking about the members?
The teachers. Sorry.
The team of teachers. Yeah. So we have Slack that we're working with right now, and that's been actually really good. At first, it was taking a little while to get everybody checking the Slack and on Slack, and instead of being in a group text message. And so we communicate on there. And then I also somewhat regularly meet with each of them semi-regularly to at least do social media content. And so in those little meetings, we talk about their classes, or we talk about, things that are happening, but we are meeting a little bit. And then we're going to meet quarterly as a team, like you suggested, to, kind of like let's, in March, we'll like check back in, like how has the studio been going and how is everything going so far in the year. So, but we use Slack mostly to communicate right now. Yeah.
Samantha, honestly, this, one of the things I want to also go over is and this was actually right at the beginning, Samantha had private clients here, like all these different studio stream different streams of income coming from private and corporate, and so we've kind of, or not kind of, we have really narrowed that down. So you bought most of that now, most of it under one platform, Offering Tree, so that you're kind of managing the majority of it now in one place. The other thing that we did with that was we broke down your revenue categories, and we met to them this week to look at your sales and where the different streams of income are coming now in one place, in one spreadsheet. And I have to say, without sharing the numbers, the first month, congratulations, you did the most amazing
best month ever.
Best month ever. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I got goosebumps right now. But I mean, it's such a hopeful and amazing story, and it's been and still is an amazing journey with you. And Thank you. So I love now that you're in control of those numbers now.
Yes, that has been, because I was invoicing private clients through PayPal, and then some stuff happening through Stripe, and then some things coming through ACH, like automatic debit. It was just to get my true numbers.
I was trying to get my head around it.
Oh my gosh, it was insane. So when you I knew that showing it to anyone else would be like, what the heck is happening here? But I just didn't know what to do. It was such a mess. I didn't know what to do about it. And bookkeeping and accounting is not my strong suit by any means, which again, you made the recommendation that I hire a bookkeeper, which has been very helpful, but I am the one doing the KPIs of the breakdown of each thing, which I think is really important for me to do because it just keeps my eye on it more,
Yeah.
And it's really nice to see, this percentage is coming from memberships, or this percentage is from class passes, or private clients, or corporate clients.
Because once you've got that now, you can set the goals, right? We can set, the future looks good here.
Yeah, it does. It's hopeful. January is always good for our businesses.
So you've learned in the last little while. I think this is important for you to share or for other people to hear, but you have learned that hiring people helps a little bit.
Yes.
So we've had you hire a bookkeeper at an expense, but you're not doing that anymore. And you've got somebody helping you guiding that. You've got 1 to 2 VAs helping with certain things. You hired a coach to help you. These are all investments.
Right.
In your business. Can you talk about that? Because, the average studio owner that's not a franchise or doesn't have a team, they're wearing a lot of hats. And so you've made some choices lately to hire.
Yeah, I think really I just had to think of where is my time most valuably spent? And if I'm going to grow the business, I can't just be handling all of this administrative stuff that I could give to a VA, or spending my time trying to figure out the bookkeeping when someone else who knows how to do this way better and more efficiently can do this, and I don't enjoy it. And then for hiring you, again, it was I know that there's so much that I don't know and I'm not figuring out, as far as the team, getting them organized and systems and making next steps. And I just, I said, I knew that I would rather pay to expedite the learning instead of spend years making mistakes and trying to figure it out on my own. I think that is hard as a studio owner because we are trying to not spend as much money and that sort of thing. But when you realize that it is an investment in which investments make you money back, investments
that's
actually,
the key, right?
That's the key is you spend this money and or you hope, you don't know for sure because investments are risky too sometimes, but generally speaking, as long as you've made a good choice and it aligns as far as a coach or an accountant or whoever, you're going to get money back, whether that money be your time, because now you get to free up and you can do other things and make money, or actually, see growth in the business from what we've done. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. I think it's sometimes that's that scary step
It is. Yeah.
To kind of, can you just quickly share what tasks you give out to your help, that, just to give some people an idea of what tasks you offload?
Yeah. So, well, of course, I mentioned the accounting, the bookkeeping stuff. And then my VA right now, she is basically setting up all of our reminder emails that are in our offering tree. All of our classes are also all virtual, which I know is like, it's a little bit crazy, but we have a big virtual hybrid kind of setup in here, which means each class has a unique link that people need to get. So she handles dealing with all of that. She also has been helping with like setting up some of the events inside Offering Tree or managing subs. So in the Slack channel, we have sub requests, and she handles, seeing, putting people in and seeing if there still is gaps in the schedule. She handles that. And then most recently is the one that I'm most excited about. I don't know if I've told you this, but she has been responding to some emails.
You did tell me. Can you tell me what you told me when you read some of her emails?
Some of the emails were way better than my response would be. So we have emails that go out to the clients afterward, like, how was class? What was your experience?
Yeah.
That sort of thing. And some of the responses, like one lady responded back just saying, like, she was kind of down on herself and saying she was really struggling with her balance and was frustrated, but was enjoying she enjoyed the class, but it was challenging, And normally we get a ton of these emails. It's great when you ask for feedback and then you get the feedback, but then you have to reply to the people giving you the feedback, which is great. But I start to kind of, because I'm replying to so many, can be kind of quick and just say, something not as thoughtful. But she responded back so thoughtfully. She shared and related to her own experience because she's a student at the studio too. And she just responded way better than I would have, even because
I love that, because it's showing that you have to replace yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And then sometimes what we've been doing at first, when she was really nervous about how to respond, she would send me an email and I would voice note to her my response. And then she would type it out. But the voice memo took me just a second, literally I'm just telling her, tell them this. And then she would send it out. And then she's creating a document of like, Sam said, when this question gets asked, say this.
Yeah, great.
You know what I mean? And that's been really, really good. Like, I'm super excited about that. I told her, like, my goal is in 2026, I will not look at my email. Like, I don't want to see it. I don't want to. I mean, I want to see some good things, but I just don't want to be handling the data. That sucks my time. That sucks my energy, all the emails. Your energy sucking.
So I think, the important takeaway here is triple down on your superpower, hire out for the things that hold you back or get pushed to the list the next day or the next day or the next week or the next month.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. You're also using a project manager.
Yes. And that has also been very helpful. And I really like having that instead of just my little notes app on my phone. And
we've set a good system up. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I like that.
Samantha, thank you so much. I want to end with some lighthearted questions here. So I want something that most people wouldn't know about you.
I was an EMT in college, and a lot of people don't know that. So I did that, and that was a lot of fun. And it got me used to like with I always relate it to private yoga, because sometimes you show up to a session, you don't know what to expect. You would show up on a scene and like have no idea what you're going to have to deal with, and then have to figure it out. And private yoga, I felt like, was a lot sometimes like that with clients. I would show up and not know, like, what do they have going on today, and I've got to try to help them or see what we're going to do. But a lot of people don't know that.
Well, I know you're a geek. What's your favorite kind of business tools, websites, apps? What are you geeking out on right now?
Well, of course, I'm liking ChatGPT, and I'm really geeking out on kind of playing with that in a lot of ways, or just using it to brainstorm. I've recently used it to help me think of like funny ideas for reels and stuff like that. So I'm having some fun with that.
Yeah, and also I'm going to point out something that you're wearing right now, which I think a lot of studio owners don't think about. But in a studio space, when we're creating content, we're in a big echoey space. And quite often we're not close to the camera if we're recording something. And so you're wearing a lapel microphone.
It's a Rode mic, yeah, and it is great. And yes, we use it. I use it for the audio. I think the audio matters a lot on videos.
Yeah. And the Rode isn't expensive. There are other versions out there, lapel microphones that are, but you're the geek and you probably researched that to death.
I did.
But good sound, good light, good sound. Good video quality, good sound at a basic, right? And I think that a lapel microphone really does help, especially if you're taking the content in the studio.
Yeah, I agree.
What's your if you were a yoga pose, what would you be and why?
I think I would be half moon because I'm spread in so many different directions, but I'm also like focused in the center of like core of what I need to focus on, but I'm spread out and trying to balance it all. Right? I think that's the yoga studio owner pose.
A little Ardha Chandrasana.
Yeah.
Samantha, how do people find you? Yoga
Instagram
Strong
is definitely the place where I am the most, at Yoga Strong NC, and then on Facebook we're Yoga Strong NC as well. And then our website is yogastrongnc.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being with me today. Thank you for sharing our journey together and your journey to where you're at today. And I think there's a lot of people can learn from you, and you're just a rocking, confident yoga teacher and a yoga studio owner. And I just look forward to working with you every week. It's just so fun just to turn up and see what you've accomplished each week. So it's been fun.
It's been a lot of fun. Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thanks for tuning in, champs. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to this channel. It means a lot. And if you're ready to open your own studio or grow your current one, visit yogabizchamp.link/YouTube to book your free strategy call with myself and explore my starter studio and grower studio packages. And you'll also get access to all of my free Yoga Biz Champ resources, yogabizchamp.link/YouTube. And you can check out other insights and follow me on all social media platforms at Yoga Biz Champ. See you next time.